Yeah, we going up, we going crazy, going bonkers. Produced by Ziggy, Zay Ticky, believe that.
It ain't peaches, it'll deceive you, boy, believe me. What you know about a jungle made with nothing but seed. No creepy crawlers, just heathens that prey on your weakness. Smell the slightest hint of fear, and the stainless you'll eat it. Gang bangers that greet your test on their face like Weezy. Pouring milk by the ounce, walking around looking sleepy. I'm from a town, no integrity, a broken city, disrupted. I know niggas who once were real who now turn into suckers. When it comes to murder, it's nothing. Rollos get pulled over scuffles. Bumpy road around this motherfucker, your life means nothing. It ain't peaches. Niggas walking around with no feelings, with a chip on their shoulder, saying the world don't feel us. Trying to earn them some millions so they can split with they niggas. I know cats that died broke because they lost all ambition. When it comes up to get
Welcome back to another edition of More to Live For. We're right back on this great segment, Man of Honor. We're fortunate enough to be up to volume 15 now. I have a very, very special guest with me tonight, a gentleman who I haven't seen in over 20 years, my fourth grade teacher. I'm gonna let him introduce himself and tell you a little bit about him and what it is that he does, but this is definitely one for the books. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. It's so good to see you.
Likewise. Let me take these shades off. Man. Definitely, man. It's a pleasure to have you here, man. It's been a long time since I've seen you, over 20 years, but we've been, in the same area. I've been in Pitt County most of this time, but
right.
But enough about me. Could you, introduce yourself to my viewers?
Well, I'm David Cary. I've been a Pitt County Schools teacher for 35 years. I did 11 years out in Bethel. And, it's funny that I've been a teacher for 35 years. The kids I remember the most are those kids from Bethel.
Oh, yeah?
It's true. I can remember kids from Bethel. I can remember everybody's name. I could picture their faces. And kids that I taught, just this past year, I struggle when I see them in the hallway the next year to remember, put a name with a face. I don't know if that's me getting old. I just think Bethel was the coolest community because being a K-8 school,
yeah,
I didn't have you for 1 year. I saw you all the way through middle school.
Exactly.
It was a great place to be. Good time in my life.
Oh, definitely. And that's one thing that I kind of touched on with the last video I did with Clifton is the fact that it was a K-8, so it's not it's normal for somebody to know somebody. Hey, I went to school with him. Yes, we're 6-7 years apart, but we still went to school together and still be able to connect years later. Mm-hmm. And not necessarily experience high school together, but they still experience going to school together. So
right.
That's why I like our K-8 school. But before we dive into the interview, man, I just want to say thank you for doing this for me. It's definitely an honor to have you here. Just someone that represents a simpler time in my life. That makes sense.
Sure.
Just fourth grade. 10-year-old me. So it's like I'm kind of reliving that, especially being the fact that I haven't seen you in so long. So it's kind of like I'm reliving that. I'm kind of thinking of some of the things from class, man. But you definitely were one of the favorite teachers from that era.
That makes you happy to hear.
Yeah, definitely. Plenty of people tell you this, especially people my age that remember you. But I definitely for starters, when you think about Bethel School, the whole, dynamic of it was so different back then. It was a 2-story school. So
sure.
We had that going on, and, it was a privilege, once that you make it to the upstairs. So like, that's why it stands out so much. Just so many memories coming through my head.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I kind of want to touch on, and I asked you this before we started this interview, but it kind of, you know, really tells how old I am. And I'm thinking about it now, like, I'm that old. But I remember briefly for some reason, and we weren't the only school to do it. I did my research. We weren't the only one to do it, but I remember, you know where I'm going with this.
I do, because we talked about it.
In 1995, fourth grade, the OJ verdict came in, and for some reason, everybody in school watched it.
It was on the news all the time. You couldn't get away from it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they televised the entire trial, and the day they said they were going to do the verdict, yeah, we pulled everybody in the hallway.
Yeah, that was. I'm sitting here thinking like, wow, that was. Yeah, that was sitting back now like that was a long time ago, but for some reason that stands out. I definitely can remember that vividly, and just the whole fact of, you know, Bethel School having an upstairs, like that just stands out. It's been so many years, and like you said, you know, the fact that you get a chance to see, you know, your former students as adults. Some of your former students are actually teachers. So I just think that's real cool, man, that you able to, you know, to still be able to connect with former students.
It's funny. I get excited every time I see one. Every time I see one of my former students.
Right.
And it's funny. I don't know. Sometimes if people get embarrassed, or if they'd rather not, if they'd rather not say hello to me. I don't know what it is. A lot of times I'll look because in my head I'm thinking, I was one of the only male elementary school teachers around back in
yeah,
you know, back when you were in school. You find a whole lot more guys now in elementary, but at the time I was one of the only ones. And I'm thinking, surely if you were in my class, you got to remember me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
indeed.
not that I was anything wonderful, but I mean, you got to remember. I would think you'd remember your fourth grade teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I'll see people who are adults. I'm like, hey, I taught you. Did I teach you in fourth grade? Hey, Mr. Cary. It's like, well, man, you were gonna not, you know, say hello, because it does my heart good to see you.
But you really, you know, you really don't look like you've aged. I mean, you got a little snow in your beard, but I mean, other than that, I mean, you really look the same from the last time I remember seeing you.
You know, I attribute that to this. In your interview with Kendrick Parker was saying that his dad says to him, his dad always used to say to him, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
That's the God's honest truth. I've been doing this for 35 years and I absolutely love this job.
Oh yeah, you definitely, you know, like I said, you're definitely a teacher to remember. And when I think about the 90s in general, just that whole decade, the first memory is you. You know, to be totally honest, just from everything that Bethel School was in the 90s. And like I said, you know, like you said, you were one of the only male teachers and your class is upstairs. The school, you know, doesn't have upstairs anymore. So,
right.
You know, you have to stand out. And like you said, people have to remember you. So we touched on Bethel School and, you know, some of those great days and they were great. So can you tell my viewers, like, you know, where you teach at now and like, when not mainly where you teach at, but the subjects and the, you know, the grade level?
Well, I retired 5 years ago.
Okay.
And so when I, you know, quote unquote retired, I went and taught at a private school for 3 years.
All right.
And then now I do remediation. You know, really, I don't know if they were doing that back when you were in elementary school or not. You got a lot of, you get retired teachers who come in. Some teachers 3, 4 days a week. I'm working 5 days a week, still 6 hours a day. Okay. So I'm darn near there full time. But I do fourth grade math remediation, helping kids who are struggling a little bit with math.
Okay.
Math was always my thing.
Yeah.
So helping that. I had a great experience this fall. A lot of times schools remediation doesn't start till October, November. That's when schools will get their remediation money. So I was doing some substituting. I had a chance to start out the year as a kindergarten sub. So I did 6 weeks of kindergarten, which I had never done before.
Wow.
So that was a blast. That was a lot of fun. Absolutely not my wheelhouse. You know, with the kids so young, but it was a really good time. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, I mean, that, like you said, or like you said, that your dad and, you know, another guest of mine, dad said, you know, you find something that you really love, doesn't feel like you're working, and you know, the fact that you got a passion for teaching, it doesn't surprise me that you were able to, you know, to connect with kindergartens.
Mhm.
So, but I'm sitting in here, just thinking about your classroom for some reason, man, and I can remember. What was it? I can't remember exactly what you did, but I can remember you jumping on your desk. Or
Everybody
something
goes
like
back to
that.
jumping. I don't know.
I can remember that.
You're, you're not the only one who said that. I don't know why I did it. I can't think of the context of what it was.
I mean, it was something along the line of hello, hello, wake up, wake up. It was something along that. We weren't paying attention. It was something. It was one of those tactics, but I definitely can remember that, and I can also like just remember you know, the whole '90s and like and kind of it's like the TV shows that I was watching coming back to me then, like you know, Beavis and Butthead. I wasn't old enough to watch that, but I was watching it then. You know, shows like that and the whole TGIF, we had that whole thing going
Right,
on. The
right.
'90s were definitely great, and it's definitely, you know, like you said, it's a pleasure, you know, and an honor to be able to, you know, be a productive adult and, you know, and still connect with an old teacher, you know, a teacher from the past, rather, not a old teacher, not that
I'm
English
both.
thing.
I'm both. It's okay.
No, not that, but something else I kind of want to touch on, and it's a delicate situation. I kind of talked about this with Kendrick and with Mrs. Lisa that I interviewed last night, who's a teacher. Being that you know, that you've been doing it as long as you have, you know, how can I ask this? But I just kind of want your, you know, want your thoughts on like just seeing, you know, the violence that, you know, that is like I can remember in my age, you know, my age bracket. I remember when it first happened. I think it was '97 or '98. But you know, and I was telling Kendrick about this too. It's like I just remember, you know, getting a letter saying this happened here. It could be happening there. All these schools have one thing in common. They're in a small town. It's like I can remember that. And that morning I did the interview with Kendrick. It's like I was reliving that, and I'm dropping my kids off and breaking down and stuff like that. You know, just I just kind of want your you know, want your take on that. You know, being that you know, been teaching you know, for as long as you have, and you kind of seen it when it first started, and you know, here we are years later.
It's it's troubling. And it's scary. And I tell you, you know, I hate that people become desensitized to it.
Yeah,
Um, but on these times, everything, you know, when it cycles back around and it happens again, you find yourself walking through the school with a different eye. You know, you are looking at different things. And again, this thing in Texas was horrific. But the first question I'm asking myself is, how did he get in the building? You know, because you do talk about that. You do talk about locked doors and all these things, and you know, every door's locked and teachers have a key, and I'm certainly not putting blame on anybody. You know, there's a lot of different things that I think contribute to it. I think social media is a huge one.
yeah,
You know, I look at what you're doing and what a positive thing this interaction is. But how much of social media is a disaster for young kids?
exactly.
Because everybody's a tough guy behind a keyboard, you
Yep.
know, and they can be so cruel and hurtful.
Yeah.
And you know, the phone's addictive. It is. I sit there and look at it, and I try to, you know, try not to do that all the time. And for a kid to have it, and they're constantly being bombarded with that stuff, I stress the kids all the time anymore in school. Be kind. Be kind. Learn to be kind. You know, above all else. And as a parent, you know, I'm thankful. My daughter's, you know, 26 now, and I'm glad she got through school unscathed. You know, not just physically, but mentally as well. You know,
Right.
It's just like I said, I try to talk to kids all the time about being kind. and
Yes.
you got to, and from a teacher standpoint, you try to be aware, you know. I'll be honest, there are times I do look around and think, all right, what would I do? It's not always on the forefront of my mind, but
Right.
you do think of those things.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. Yes, that's well put. And like I've been trying, to reach out more to not just my former teachers, but teachers that I know, like, even former classmates that went on to be teachers. I just been trying to, to reach out to them more and more, and, kind of let people know that you definitely on my mind. I don't want to say, go to work, good luck, and stuff like that. But, I just want to let them know that, they definitely on my mind, because you shouldn't be in that situation, especially doing what you're doing, and like you say, you're doing something you love, so
Mhm.
you shouldn't be in that position where you have to wonder if a situation that happened there can happen here. And then to touch on something that you said with the whole social media wave that we have now, and it happened decades ago, but we really are in the era where you can easily copycat something. So I take that in consideration too. So
Yep. That's why
yeah,
I kind of hate that it's on the news all the time.
yes, yes,
I mean, not to downplay it, and not to lessen its to lessen its value, or lessen not value, because it was
I
horrific. But
definitely understand what you're saying.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
But
understand what you're saying.
get gee whiz, we keep hearing about it, and then the next day there's something else. The next day there's something else.
Exactly.
And like I said, people, it's frustrating. It's
Yes, it
frustrating.
is. It is. I just hope that we can, as I can't even say, I don't even want to say as a nation. I hope we as a species can figure this out. Because I mean, like this, I just don't like it, and nobody does, and I just think it's something that could be done about it. And I definitely don't want to. I'm not pushing politics on this channel by any means. No political propaganda or anything like that. It's just how I feel, and like I said, I kind of wanted to, talking to, a former teacher of mine. It's
Mhm.
just kind of, it's kind of coming all the way back home. Especially, that grade. And
Yeah.
you're my fourth grade teacher, so it's just kind of coming all the way back home. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that, and I definitely think your
Well, you
take on that.
think. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Probably,
Think how much that's changed. Think how much school has changed. We used to go up. We used to go up those stairs and down the stairs, out the door and back into the building.
right?
Man, you couldn't have done that. You couldn't do that today.
Exactly, exactly. But I can honestly say, before I left Belfast, all the doors were locked.
Uh
Yeah,
huh.
I think Columbine was 7th or 8th grade for me. I can't really
Okay.
remember, but I remember, seeing the drastic change of every doors being locked. I don't necessarily remember in my years us having a resource officer though. If we did, I can't really remember it, but I don't remember us having a resource officer.
They did have one when I was out there.
Okay,
My last year there. Nope. 2 years before I left was when they tore down the building,
okay, yeah,
the
I
old
remember
one, and
that.
they built the new one. So I was in a mobile unit out back,
Okay.
and we did have one at that time.
Okay, all right. Like I said, these memories they come in and
Yeah.
going. I can remember one being there, but I can't remember. Was it for a whole year or anything like that? But it definitely was a different time. Definitely the
It
'90s
was.
definitely were a different time, and
It was.
slowly but surely, I kind of hope that people as a society can kind of get back to some of those ways. But
Ernest, when you're doing your thing, I say this to my wife all the time. You hear about if you watch the news all the time, everything seems horrific and awful. But in your own bubble,
right,
e- everything, it's not that way. When I go to school, yeah, I do think about those things sometimes, but it's about the kids, and you're doing your thing. And I'm sure those kids in Texas were doing their thing that day too. You don't expect, it's awful.
yeah, it is.
And I'm with you. I hope to God that we get the gun part and the mental health part. There's so many things that we got to get straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, it'll start with kindness. If people will be good to people.
Yes, it definitely does start with kindness, and that's why I'm trying to push, as much positivity as I can out there.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. But I just wanted to be clear that none of this is about me. I want to shine the light that I can on the positive people that influenced me through the years, and even people that I don't know that are doing positive things that can influence other generations. I think that's super cool too, and I definitely want to continue doing that. I just want to wish best wishes to you and your family. I remember your wife, so if I don't know if you remember me, but I can try to find a picture from 4th grade. I wish me luck. So, but I can remember her she was at Bethel School for a while.
She and I met at Bethel. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. She was, she taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade exceptional children.
Okay.
Bottom of the stairs in old building, across from the auditorium. You had Mr. Davis, the guidance counselor.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You had his office, and then there was a room right next to it. And that was my wife's. That was my wife's room.
Okay. Wow. I just got like a good memory of that whole bottom. When you said auditorium, I was there, and then I thought about across his class, and then we had the little ramp to go down. And
yes. Yeah.
I remember good.
Yeah. But Bob Little's room was right there at the ramp. Do you remember Bob Little?
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
Right. And then you crossed where the doorway was, and that's where my wife's room was.
All right. Okay. Wow. We're talking about over about 25 years.
Yep.
Something like that. It's been a while. Maybe 27. I mean, I'm
37
now.
25 is the bottom end. Yeah, it could be more.
I'm 37 now, so it's been a good while. But once again, thank you for doing this, and thank you for reaching out to a close family member of mine. So I really think that was cool. And just the person that you are, man, the person that you are, the great teacher that you are. And I just kind of want to shine a light on that. You obviously, you can see you affected all of our lives. You definitely was a ray of sunshine in our lives. As a 4th grader, coming into school, not that many male teachers, and then we get you. So hey, that was the highlight of so many of our days, right? And I'm glad I got a chance to tell you this. So
that makes me happy. Thank you.
Oh yes, definitely. Let me move this ad, but definitely thank you for this interview, man. And if anybody you want to say hello to, man, you can go right ahead. The floor is yours.
Just the whole. We had a family out in Bethel.
Yeah,
we did. You think about the teachers. There wasn't a whole lot of turnover there. You didn't get a whole lot of new teachers. I was the new guy. I came to Bethel in '87.
I did not know you came in '87. Wow.
And I was there, and I was pretty much the new person darn near when I left. I was still, 11 years later, I was still the new person.
Wow.
There weren't that many new people who came in. But you think about some of the great teachers that were there. Shirley Council, what a good person, good teacher she was.
Yes.
And you mentioned Gail Whalen,
yes, and Miss Armstead,
all those people in conversation. You have conversations with them as teachers. Everybody cared about the kids. In their own way, they may have shown it differently, but they all cared about the kids. Glenn White was the PE teacher.
Yes.
He and I coached together. That was the other nice thing about Bethel. I got a chance to. I was the girls basketball coach the entire time I was there.
Okay. I remember that now.
I coached the baseball team for most of the time I was there. I stopped the last couple of years. So I got, I taught you in 4th grade. I'd get to see, teach them in 4th grade and coach them in 7th and 8th grade. So that was always a lot of fun. But, Glenn White was a heck of a nice guy. He and I talked a lot on bus trips, driving to basketball games and stuff. Always had the best interests of the kids at heart. And all those teachers did. Bethel always has a special place in my heart, my wife's heart. We talk about all the kids that we knew, that she had, that I had. it's like I said, it always means a lot to us when we catch up with them as adults and see what they're doing.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Bethel is always going to be a special place to us.
Definitely. And I did not know that you, two things I didn't know. I didn't know that you guys met there, and I didn't know that you started there in '87. Wow.
Yeah.
So definitely, I definitely want to, just take a moment to, to say, to acknowledge that and how, beautiful that is, and, you're doing something that you love to do and you meet the love of your life.
Yep.
If that's not motivation to follow your dreams, I don't know what else is. So, but I definitely thank you for doing this. I definitely thank you for doing this. And hopefully, if everything goes the way I want it to go, you'll see many more familiar faces. And
I hope so.
And I can keep this journey going, because it's definitely been a wonderful journey. Reconnecting with people, and shining a spotlight on who they are, and and what they are to the community. In a nutshell, that's what I'm doing. So if there's nothing else, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. This has definitely been a pleasure. Definitely been a pleasure.
The pleasure has been mine. It's so good to see you, and I think you're just doing a terrific job. I love the idea of what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
I've loved the episodes. I think it's great.
Oh yeah,
it's wonderful.
And there's more to come. It's definitely more to come. This has been another edition of More to Live for Men of Honor. My 4th grade teacher. This is a classic. Peace and blessings to everyone. Thanks for watching.